Well, good evening, everyone from India. Good to see you all in huge numbers. I hope my voice is audible enough to everyone. Good evening, Dinesh. Hi, Leena. Hi, Rajit sir. Hi, Pawan sir. Hi, Owen.
Good evening, good
Good
afternoon.
evening.
Hi, Sarika. Hi, Mohammed. Good to see you all in huge numbers. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are, and Happy New Year.
Wish you the same. Wishing everyone a
Wishing
happy
you
and
a
a
happy new year,
fantastic and
sir.
a fabulous New Year 2026 to everyone. I really wish, hope, and pray in whatever currency you earn, you all get six-digit salary. That is what as a trainer, teacher, or anyone who can guide you. And six digit means you can go up till 99, 1 million minus 1. That much I really wish, hope, and pray you all reach to that position ASAP.
Thank you.
Wish you the same.
Thank you, Dinesh sir. Thank you so much. Well, today being the last class on day one, it is really good to be part of your batch. It was absolutely a pleasure experience to share the dais with everyone listening me live. Special thanks to everyone, those who are possible, visible, feasible. You can keep your cameras on as it gives us chance to exchange the vibration and also try to navigate, interact, and try to gather more inputs and also try to interact in a very interesting and appropriate manner as well. If you can, and if it is available, feasibly possible, do keep your cameras on. That is what is going to be my humble request. So, well, let's begin today's session with some new stories and some interesting ceremonies in form of figuring it out how this 2026 has got what is available to us in form of progressive growth and development as well. So let's begin quickly. I'll just share my slide. So once again, good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. Let's start today's session quickly with what I have got on the plate to offer. This session is called a strategic leadership session, where we will try to see how the leadership avenue in strategy helps companies to execute the strategies in effective and appropriate manner. Well, before I start this part, let me share a small or a new innovated developed matrix by us, not just by me, by us to figure out how and what is expected in this year 2026. What industries, what sectors, what avenues at the world level is expected to grow. Well, there are some interesting stories to understand and experience in form of growth and development. So before I go ahead with the kind of topic I'm going to explain, I request everyone to once again keep their cameras on if it is feasible and possible, and also try paying attention on the screen as we will move ahead. So let's begin with what we have got to explain and understand. So I've developed a matrix. It is called as growth matrix. Now in the world, when you try understanding this matrix, there are two parameters I have tried analyze in form of understanding. This growth matrix is not perspective to any country, but world economy. If you try understand and seeing the employment impact in the world, this is what is expected to happen this year. There are four quadrants to the matrix. You can surely draw the matrix as we go ahead in form of trying to learn. The matrix has got four quadrants. The quadrant one, there are two parameters which I have taken. One is called as economic growth, and second is called as employment and inclusion impact. Now, if I say economic growth is high and employment is also high, so that will come in first of all quadrant one. Now, quadrant one growth story is about a domain called as, and they are these sectors are called as engines of inclusive growth at the world level or whichever country you belong to. You will be able to observe and experience that these sectors will have overwhelming growth in the coming year, that is 2026, where these sectors will have economic growth having very high, and also they have high employment opportunity as well. These sectors comprise of sectors like infrastructure and construction, manufacturing, where we have got electronics, electric vehicles, and defense. Each country is today developing its roadmap or a war chest to fight in the world in form of defense. So manufacturing sector will boom in quadrant one, where there is not only high employment but also high economic growth exists. Now, renewable energy. Renewable energy, we have got solar, wind, green hydrogen, and a new development in the world is witnessing a new set of renewable energy which focuses on a energy concept called as nuclear energy. We all know solar and wind, both of these energy are subject to scenarios. Example, if solar energy we talk, it is directly coming from sun, but at times clouds and sun play hide and seek. Now, in that case, if sun is not very prominently visible, we cannot produce the energy. And hence, it is difficult then to have consistency in form of energy. So, companies will need to store solar energy. Same holds true for wind. If today wind does not want to pass, then we will not be able to get energy via wind. So, solar and wind is directly proportionate to the performance of the energy. Similarly, we have green hydrogen as well, which requires a lot of economic support in form of capital intensiveness. But green hydrogen is going to be an energy which will develop with time. While one energy which is expected to grow and boom across the world, major developing and developed countries have given opportunities to something called as nuclear energy. Then every country which is growing prominently has MSMEs and SMEs. Those are expected to grow bigger and faster in quadrant one, which is called as engines of inclusive growth. Agriculture and agri-tech in many countries are developing at faster pace, and same holds true for tourism and hospitality. The pace at which tourism and hospitality is growing is super phenomenal. So in these sectors, it is not only economic growth expected to move, but also employment growth is been visible at very high levels. Everyone listening to me live right now, at the end, I'm giving you a question right now to tell me, in form of a case study, to tell me that which quadrant is the best place to be in. This is your question. I'll explain all the quadrant and then you let me know which is the best quadrant to be part in the given scenario. Well, in quadrant two, economic growth is very high. However, in quadrant two sectors, employment is low. Today, there is no employment in quadrant two, but the chances of growing in that sectors are phenomenal. Where we have got sectors like information technology and ITES. The word ITES stands for
IT
information
enables business.
technology enabled services. Information technology enabled services. What kind of services in information technology it does comprise of? So it's comprised of sectors like or areas like BPO, KPO, LPO, which is business process outsourcing, KPO, knowledge process outsourcing, LPO, legal process outsourcing, and an interesting development today's era, which the world is seeing, where Western countries are providing services to developing and underdeveloping countries called as GCC, which stands for Global Capability Centers. This has been developing at faster pace in many parts of the world. So IT and ITES is expected to have great economic growth, but today employment is low. Similarly, digital economy, where we have got cloud, AI platforms, etc. Then fintech and capital markets in the world, defense and aerospace in the world, semiconductor and high-end electronics. These are having phenomenal growth in form of economy. But today employment is less. Well, quadrant 3 says that we have great employment in these sectors. However, economic growth is low. These sectors are called as stable and social impact sectors. These sectors are being managed by, I would not use word government of every country, but by authorities who would be seeing things for larger community services, or you can say helping the society. So the sectors in this domain are like traditional retail and trade. This is where we have high employment, but growth is very, very low. Education and skilling. Employment is huge, but again, economic growth in education and skilling industry is low. Healthcare services. In healthcare services, we have got hospitals and probably diagnostics kit or diagnostic centers. These also has got high employment, but economic growth in form of value for money for a business is low. Urban services and informal economy. Urban services like plumbing, air condition repairing, any maintenance work is called as urban services. And informal economy means activities which are not formally done, informally done. Example, cooking, or for support services like facility management. All these things have got employment high. Number of people working, employment is very, very high, but they don't have economic growth. Last but not the least, logistics and transportation per se conventional format, where we have trucks or big containers which are transported and brought in conventional format, where they try to pick up and delivery. This kind of companies have got high employment, but their growth is very, very poor or low. Well, the quadrant four is called as where neither there is employment nor there is any kind of economic growth impact visible. These sectors are called as transition or policy dependent sectors. Now, transition and policy dependent sectors focuses on avenues like conventional energy, which is called as coal based, legacy manufacturing, means traditional time manufacturers who are having absolutely no tech involved in it. Then small unorganized enterprises, which again has no such kind of support in form of technology. And last is called as low value export segments, where exports are done, but the value of the exports are very, very low. Now, these companies in these sectors have got absolutely low economic growth and low employment as well. So this is how the quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4 is visible. And this is where the growth story is going to be interestingly devised and designed as well. So at world level, if you see, this is how the growth structure of companies normally is navigated, and this is how the businesses of companies have been growing. So thought, because it is new year 2026, to start with something which was instrumental and critical to figure out that where do we navigate from here on. That is why this model was expressed to everyone to understand the scenario. Well, I have a question for everyone listening to me live. Which is the best quadrant in this growth story that one should focus upon? Is my question to everyone. Which is the best quadrant to be part of in today's era?
Quadrant
Quadrants
one,
one.
quadrant
One.
one feels to be more.
Quadrants one.
Okay. Anybody else would like to add on? So
Yeah,
far,
it's quadrant one, sir.
okay, Umesh bhai, thank you so much for mentioning quadrant one. So I've got so far three answers. Ayodhya ji.
Quadrant one and quadrant two as well.
Okay, Anindya sir, thank you so much for your response. Quadrant one is what Anindya sir has mentioned. Thank you, Umesh sir, Dinesh sir, and Ayodhya ji as well. Anybody else would like to answer the
The
question?
quadrant two, but I think all four quadrants correlate to each other because they are dependent some portion of some each and every service, some portion.
Sir Pawan, you are the most clever person. Where do you want to go? I want to go everywhere, but with little money, I will go to
Quadrant two, yeah.
option number one. This is cheating, man. Any one you have to select.
Quadrant two from my side.
Okay, so Pawan sir has played the game. Now he has flipped the coin and said, I'm going to put money on quadrant two. Anybody else would like to add on? We have a lot of great people. Harriet, where do you believe? Which quadrant is the best place to be?
For me, it's quadrant one.
Quadrant one. Pawan sir,
Yes.
thank you, Harriet, for your response. Pawan sir, Leena madam, any answers?
It's quadrant 1 and 2.
Quadrant one and
2.
no, any one. There is no two options available. This is cheating. Any one you have to select.
I'll go with quadrant 2, capital and tech-intensive
It
sectors.
is like your heart says quadrant 2, but mind says quadrant 1. Choose any one which is supposed to be visible. But you are not visible today, you are invisible.
My cam. Oh, I'm so sorry. I
Your
covered this.
camera was on a while back, now you are visible.
No,
So,
I
madam,
covered that.
where do you believe you have option, which is the best place?
Quadrant two.
Quadrant 2. So, Lina madam goes with her heart. Heart was into, one was mind. So,
Quad-
she has chosen her heart.
So
Dinesh sir,
Yeah.
आपका क्या
two,
आंसर है?
quadrant one, I'm going with quadrant one. However, quadrant two can also be a game changer in the longer run, is that what I feel.
नहीं नहीं, any one you have to
I,
select. Is it cheating?
I go with quadrant one, obviously, yes. But
Okay, quadrant 1. Meghna madam, Mohammed sir, Sarika would like to answer. Okay, Meghna madam has just mentioned she is traveling from Germany to Hong Kong. She is in en route flight, so she cannot respond. And others are also traveling, I believe. Mohammed sir is right now in the aircraft. He's driving, sorry, he's flying the aircraft, so he cannot respond. Umesh sir, any answer?
Sir, it is quadrant one, sir.
Thank you, Umesh sir. I'm highly grateful to Umesh sir for responding all the way from Singapore. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your responses. I also personally believe the best place in all the quadrants, according to me, hands down, is basically, to be really honest, called as quadrant 2. See, guys, quadrant 1 is already in that position, which has been at that levels. From here, there is nothing which we can grow because the growth is already there and employment is huge. However, quadrant 2 offers me a lot of opportunities in coming time zones because the growth is high, but the employment is low. If I get into that zones right now, then I will have around next 2 decades to make money out of that sectors. So quadrant 2 would be an ideal choice. However, people who have chosen quadrant 1, these group of people are really intelligent people because they want to take advantage of current market. Well, in short run, of course, quadrant 1 is the best place. But long run players like me, Lina madam, and one more person who said quadrant 2 are all thinking that we want to make money in long run, not in short run. So both answers are correct, Sir Dinesh. But however, quadrant 1 is of today's people, and quadrant 2 is going to be of tomorrow's future trend, which is witnessed in form of growth and development. So these are called as growth metrics. So what you guys are learning strategies. Now, in the front of the bosses who are chairmen, MDs, CEOs, they have to take a decision. Like this, the matrix is presented. After reading the matrix, they take a call. Okay, so if I have got 100 crore or at $1 million, which sector should I focus on? So they will be really super smart. They will diversify. They will not put all the eggs in one basket. They will diversify. So that strategy execution will be diversification in figuring it out which are our expertise, what suits the company's growth story narrative, that sectors from quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 they will pick up, choose, and accordingly start pouring their 100 crores. Wherein they will not pour in, of course, but they will ask the business level managers to tell them the methodology which will be utilized and the company will be able to make that kind of revenue. And that is what strategy execution normally trains us or teaches us. How do we navigate in systematic and appropriate manner? This is where these quadrants helps us to grow. So thought to share this story with everyone in today's session. Well, with this note, let's go ahead to the next part of the story, which is called as understanding strategic change. Today's chapter is all about strategic execution in form of strategic leadership. It is a story about how do we understand strategic change. Uh, Strategic change is you can say critical and a tactical scenario in the business. So how do we understand strategic change, or rather what is strategic change at the outset? Well, strategic change at the outset comprises of avenues wherein we refer to fundamental shifts in organization's direction, or it refers to fundamental shift in organization scope, structure, capabilities, or culture to achieve long-term competitiveness. So if company has to achieve long-term competitiveness, what are the shifts company will do to ensure that they can have growth over a period of time? That is called as strategic change. For example, we want the company to be sustainable, which means what? We don't want to harm the nature. We want the company to be ethical, which means we want to do everything which is under the purview where we don't just take advantage of customer, but allow customer nurture the product and services. And with customers' growth, we want to grow. That is called as ethical. And we want to follow all the rules and regulations, whatever has been said, which is true and fair as per the government requirement. This is what we as a company aspire. However, it was visible that we were not in the same kind of roadmap. So the company decided to incorporate strategic change, which in which what they will do. So company adopts something called as fundamental shift in company's direction. If I want to be sustainable, then my activities, right from procurement of raw material till manufacturing in form of processing of the raw material to finished goods and dispatching the finished goods, must have fundamental shift in form of sustainability, wherein be it the raw material buying, process of manufacturing, delivering the finished goods, everything should have been having appropriate and systematic way of functioning, which has to be compulsory sustainable in nature. That will lead to what long-term competitiveness. Thus, it is said, unlike operational changes, strategic change is organization-wide, has long-term implications, requires behavioral and cultural alignment, and is leader-driven. So when we want to ensure sustainability in the company, it is not just raw material buying will be sustainable. Everything, right from procurement to work in progress to finished goods to dispatching to invoicing, everything, each and every department will have to incorporate sustainability in the best way. Why strategic change become necessary if we want to incorporate? Because strategic change ensures technology disruption. So strategic change would become necessary in the scenarios where technologically disruption is visible, where market and customer behavior shifts. That is where strategic change becomes necessary, where regulatory or geopolitical changes are experienced, or where competitive pressure, organizational decline or stagnation, mergers, acquisition, and global expansion is visible. To such places, such scenarios, and such situations, strategic change becomes necessary. We all have seen companies like Amazon, how they have been growing under the tree, which was only focusing on making the goods available and delivering to the customers. The whole ambit has changed, not just helping the supplier sell goods to customer, but making sure the whole ecosystem from raw material or you can just supply to customer connect. They have now got vendor management, they have got cloud management storage, they have got a lot of things which they have brought in across. So strategic change became necessary because it helped the company to grow in different verticals in bigger and better ways in the given scenario. So everyone is clear with whatever I have said so far. Made sense to everyone. A line of confirmation on group chat would be highly appreciated. Suppose Samjha, have you all been able to gauge whatever I have said
Oh,
so far? Made sense.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so very much for your responses. Okay, but the next is the types of strategic change. Now, strategic change, it is long-term in nature. So there are certain situational, certain different types of strategic change which every company needs to incorporate or try to express in a logical format. There are different types of, as mentioned, strategic change. Strategic change are in different types. Example, we could have incremental or transformational change. We could have planned versus emergent change. We could have partial versus enterprise-wide change, or we could do reactive versus proactive-wise change. Now, incremental or transformational, which means what? Should we do gradual change or we should do transformational change? The dimension which will be impacted is called as nature of the business. Like example, my nature of the business is to produce goods in bulk. However, now the nature of the business has to go into producing not bulk, but producing in the customized format, which will be probably in unit basis and not in bulk. So my strategic change will go from incremental for number of goods to transformational, which will be more customized in nature. Similarly, speed. The speed at which we want to change this whole manufacturing process could be planned also or could be emergent as well. But as my focus changes to long term in nature, automatically the whole strategic change will change in that manner with regards to speed. Same holds true for scope and trigger as well. So this is how strategic change will have an impact on the business, which will be in form of achieving it in long term, so that the company can achieve that required task and transaction in systematic and appropriate manner. Some example of incremental change would be like continuous improvement, process optimization, etc. And transformational change would be like digital transformation, moving from full-fledged marketing campaign to full-fledged digital campaign. Then business model overhaul. So the way how business models were conducted and now how the way business models are conducted, that overhaul would also need to be systematically designed. Similarly, proactive would be more about entering new markets before competition gets into that zone. And reactive would be somewhere crisis driven restructuring as well. So these are some strategic changes which could lead to such kind of outputs and outcomes as well as far as strategic activities are concerned. So this was all about strategic change. Well, to understand strategic change, we have a few models which will be from execution lens, which means what? This is the way how strategy will be executed to make sure that strategy is implemented. What are models available to implement those strategic changes in a given scenario? Well, there are two, three models which are critically devised and designed as well. Number one is called as Kurt Lewin's change model. It is called as Kurt Lewin's change model. This model is based upon a philosophy where we first unfreeze, change, and rephrase it. Now, sometimes we have seen some activities of our business, like when Papa was working or Dadu was working, or someone in the family member who is working and driving the decision-making seat, they no more exist. So decision will be needed to be taken by you now. So you heard about Kurt Lewin's change model. What he did was he tried unfreezing the process. Means he first started understanding the whole process of decision making. Then wherever possible, he unfreezed, which means what? Not having so much amount of monitoring and viewing. After unfreezing, he made some changes and refreeze in form of reconfigure who will report to what. That led to strategic change in a very systematic and appropriate manner. So this is what is called as Kurt Lewin's change model in the business world as well. So this is an example mentioned, unfreeze would be break status quo, create urgency. Change would be the implementation of new strategy or process, and refreezes institutionalize the new buyers. So in this stepwise process, actually observe how the cycle of the business has actually developed, which has given chance for businesses to navigate and normalize their business systematically as well. So this was called as what strategic control in form of execution lens, which needs to be systematically developed and devised as well. So far, everyone is understanding whatever I've said so far. Made sense to everyone? Yes, Anindya sir, all yours. Tell me.
So when it says that it changes the or break the status quo, how does it change? I mean, is it in a positive way or negative way, or I mean, for buyer and seller, how does it work?
So when we implement new strategy, Anindya sir, we are already involved in the process of strategic change. For
Mhm.
example, we were not sustainable. We were using everything which was harming the nature. Okay. Now we want to incorporate something called as sustainability. So we started by unfreezing certain activities which were not acceptable. So unfreezing means what? Breaking status quo. Example, whatever material was coming so far, we were accepting it. Whatever this material, okay, let it just store it. Now from here on, we are unfreezing, which means what? We are breaking status quo. The word status quo means what? Routine activities or regular activities. So we now made sure that whatever raw materials you are going to send, we told the supplier, whatever raw materials you will send, these raw materials should be eco-friendly raw materials. It cannot harm the nature. If you cannot service us or if you cannot provide us, we will search for a new vendor. That is
So
where they
if it's
unfreeze. When the materials Anindya sir came,
Mhm.
that is where they implemented the change strategy. Now the materials coming were all incorporating sustainability. And rephrase means what? Where they're institutionalizing the new behaviors for the people.
Okay, sir. For example, I mean, you have already said that the we need the eco-friendly materials. So obviously, the materials that were being sent previously, they were under contract. So how does it affect the contract, or how does it change? So should we cancel the existing contract and start a new contract, or how does it how does it affect the supplier buyer? I mean,
So
not the buyer, the
it
supplier.
applies in two ways. It applies in two ways. Number one, it will help in improving their productivity because
Hmm.
now material comes with more purity. Unlike if it was not sustainable, it was not pure, it was more in form of mixing. That is where
Hmm.
my productivity improves because raw material is now quality conscious. Another example is like tire manufacturing. I am
Hmm.
manufacturing tire. So my raw material rubber was of okay grade because we were using any kind of raw material which was made out of rubber. But now we requested that we want only sustainable rubbers, which means recycling. So as soon as we use recyclable rubbers, the whole process, the certification, the methodology utilized was more systematic and also more supportive for the companies to navigate. That is where unfreeze happened, change and refreeze was visible. That is how the
Okay.
whole process basically functions.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir, for asking question. Highly grateful to Anindya, sir, Chakravarti, sir, for responding and asking questions. Dinesh, sir, have you understood whatever I have said? Ayodhya ji, have you understood whatever I have said so far?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Dinesh, sir, understood, I hope. Thank you, Dinesh, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sorry for the adjustment.
No, no problem. No problem. Uh, you were visible, sir. Nodding of the head was good enough for me to confirm that you have understood. Thank you, Dinesh, sir, for your responses. Well, another model which could be also utilized for bringing in change is called as Cotter's John Cotter. John Cotter came up with eight-step change model. He said that if I really needs to change any kind of model, I will change eight steps. And he said that these eight steps need to be done simultaneously. So it goes from creating the right climate. The next is engaging and enable others, and last is where we implement and sustain. So John Cotter's eight-step model comprises of eight components and eight elements. It starts with create urgency, build coalition, vision and strategy. Then we have communicate vision, empower action, short-term wins, sustain change and anchor in AI culture. Sorry, anchor in culture. This would lead eventually to build up an executive lens from the sports management arena. Each steps did have certain peculiarities. One such peculiarity was called as create urgency. And creation of urgency was done with the help of business case for a change. So they create urgency in the team to make them realize the importance of business case. Well, similarly, there are other areas of execution that could be focused upon for figuring it out how the premature lens or activities could be incorporated or utilized as well. So this was basically called as the John Cotter's eight-step change model. Has everyone understood whatever I've said so far?
Yes.
Has everyone understood whatever I've said so far?
Yep. Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Dinesh sir and Arvind sir, for your responses. Give me a moment, guys. Give me 1 minute.
നീ ആരുടെ ഊഞ്ഞാലാട്ടിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നേ?
Sorry, guys. So next is called as role of leadership in strategic change. Now, what is the role of leader in strategic change? It is very, very prominent. The reason being why, if the leader is not able to incorporate these changes or inspire the team to accept the changes, then things will be difficult because he has to lead from the front. Well, to make sure he is able to incorporate, let's see how it basically implements. So, leadership and management has two important roles to play. Leaders sets the direction, and management will need to plan and budget the execution part of the story. Leaders will inspire change, and management will need to control and monitor those changes. Leader will deal with ambiguity, and management will deal with complexity. Leader builds culture. Well, on the other side, management will enforce the structure. based on which the whole culture has been developed and designed in form of navigating and creating the outlook of the business, which will give them a chance to figure out how can the company navigate and build in the concept of growth and development as well. So these are the basic points in which the companies try to navigate and build up the ecosystem systematically. Uh, the next part is strategic leadership capabilities. Does leaders have capabilities? Answer is yes. And how can we develop it? There are 10 principles of strategic leadership. The 10 principles are as follows. Number one, distribute responsibility. It is said in the business world, the person who does only keeps doing it. And that is where the leader will need to distribute the responsibility so that everyone leads from the front. Number two, be honest and open about information. Whatever information we possess, whatever information we would want to express, and whatever information we would want to give, be honest with open about information. Third is ensure we create multiple paths for raising and testing ideas. So whatever ideas we want to test, implement, and achieve it, one needs to actually focus on those avenues and ensure that things are systematically devised and also appropriately been implemented as far as the business is concerned. And activities are properly been analyzed and implemented as well. That is where we will have to ensure things are qualified and properly been utilized as well. Next, similarly, we have got a scenario called as create multiple paths for raising and testing ideas. So, like this 10 important principles of strategic leadership is been devised, like make it safe to fail or making it interestingly providing access to another strategist. Or we have also have got scenarios where we have got developing opportunities for experience-based learning, hire for transformation, bring your whole self, yourself to work, find time to reflect and recognize leadership development as an ongoing practice. So, 10 principles of strategic leadership is to make sure that everyone works together and it helps in building up, navigating the points of growth and development systematically and appropriately as well as far as the business is concerned for growth. That is where the companies will be navigating the outlook of the business appropriately. Similarly, seven critical skills for change management in as far as leadership capabilities are concerned. So these are some seven critical skills which as a leader will need to develop, nurture and progressively grow as well. These avenues are lower resistance by being open, refine common understanding, and it is also critical and important to link benefits to personal goals because that is where he will be able to aspire and help people in his team to inspire and give the output accordingly and help the businesses to grow appropriately as well. So that is what basically the outlook of the scenario would be expressed in logical format as well as far as the opportunity of the given transaction is concerned. Similarly, we have got make changes available, attainable, sorry, assign facilitators and feedback to feed forward. So these are some critical skills for change management. Well, this strategic leadership capabilities helps companies to navigate and grow systematically. Apart from these, there are some interesting critical capabilities which in strategic leadership companies need to develop that not only helps companies to grow, but also allows businesses to navigate systematically. Some such sectors are starting with number one, visionary thinking. Second is sense making, where they are able to understand and help create the why culture. Third is having emotional intelligence, managing fear, anxiety, and ambiguity in appropriate manner that leads to having proper development and also brings across avenue leads to growth and development systematically. Next, similarly, is decision making under uncertainty and influence and communication. So these are such five important skills or competencies, capabilities, which while strategic leadership one needs to develop as execution becomes an instrumental and interesting part in any business. Now, with time in company when we are trying to implement strategic implementation of change, leadership styles and strategic change becomes inevitable. So what are those leadership styles and strategic changes that needs to be incorporated? Everyone listening to me live right now, you all would have heard about companies like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Also, similarly, many of you would have heard about Microsoft, Alphabet, and also a company called as Netflix as well, Nvidia. Now, these companies have transformed over a period of time with the kind of leadership style and also the changes in strategic avenues that has been visible. So, leadership style has been many in the system available. However, the best style depends upon what scenario is the change to be brought across. If change impact needs to be ideal for large scale, then the leadership style has to be transformational. Well, for short-term compliances, transactional leadership style makes logical sense. When we want to build up an ownership in form of making people also realizing the importance of the avenues, then the company needs to focus on participative kind of leadership. Similarly, when the company is wanting to focus on an avenue which is called as working in crisis situation at that time, do as I said, don't argue and don't uh, uh, teach me. Whatever I'm saying, one person take a lead and move ahead. That is called as the leadership style has to be authoritative. Similarly, in critical and volatile environment, one needs to focus on developing something called as adaptive leadership style. So depending upon what scenario, what situation, what avenue we are involved in, leadership styles and strategic changes are visible. I have a question for everyone. You all have seen Apple's CEO Tim Cook. Out of all the styles, what style do you relate Apple's CEO Tim Cook in the world business when you have to select the leadership style it possesses?
Transformational.
Okay, outstanding. Anybody else like to add?
Feels like transformation.
Superb. Anybody else? So correctly identified, which Dinesh sir and I think someone else also mentioned. Nair sir has mentioned, believe. So the answer is correct.
Transformational.
Correct, Umesh sir. Thank you so much. Transformational and Dina also correct. The leadership style which Mr. Tim Cook has been developing is transformation. Acha, what kind of leadership style would you allocate to Mr. Donald Trump, leading one of the largest, strongest economy in the world?
Authoritative.
Oh, nice answer. Anybody else would like to add on?
Adaptive.
It is correct. It is directly visible that the style of leadership which has been implemented over here in the company and organization is called as, of course, authoritative. That is the kind of leadership style which exists in the given scenario of the business as far as the business is concerned. So every company has leadership style and strategically they keep changing it. They do not hold always being a style of leadership when we try to understand. If we actually try to see Tim Cook when he's launching a new product in the month of September, he moves from transformation leadership style to a participative leadership style, where he encourages the person who has built up the brand to allow him to express the whole implementation of the given scenario. Well, there are also some scenarios where we resist to strategic change. Well, let's see how we resist to strategic changes. So, leaders' actions would be very important. How they manage resistance. Manage resistance means what? There are some people who will not ready to incorporate whatever the leader says. So, how the leader manages this strategic change? By involving these 4 or 5 important points. Like example, number one called as early communicate, which will lead to managing resistance. Involve as much as possible employees. Build the capacity in bigger and better ways. Similarly, we have a scenario which is very interestingly called as what? Capability building, build capability that would lead to create a great kind of atmosphere in the market. Incentive alignment, so offer incentives to the employees, which will then align the action. And last but not the least, role modeling behavior. So here we try to create a role model, and we will make employee a role model to help him to understand the reason why whatever is been asked to implement systematically and appropriately in the company and growth of the business is concerned. So these are few ways through which the companies will try to navigate the changes that requires or that is needed to be taken care, or you can say be implemented automatically as well. Some examples in each of the development of strategic changes are like incremental, we will have continuous improvement. Transformation will be whole business model overall. Proactive scenario will have entering new markets before competition. Reactive will be when crisis came, how do we move out? Well, the second last point is called as culture as the backbone of strategic change. We all know in any company, culture is very, very, very important. Companies can last long when we have been able to build up a strong culture. A strong culture expresses a strong output, and strong output ensures that company has a longer period of time to navigate and grow systematically and appropriately in the given scenario. So, let's see what is the culture as a backbone. It is said organizational culture is strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That is where companies need to be systematic in nature. That is where we also say that culture of any company actually decides how the company will grow in form of growth and development. And that is where brands are able to navigate it bigger in shape and size. So organizational culture is strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Culture is strategy before breakfast. How leaders shape culture? It depends on what they reward, what they tolerate, what they role model, and who they promote or remove. That will decide the culture of the company in systematic and appropriate manner. A person who is able to develop or who is able to understand this ecosystem will be the person who will navigate the outlook of the business in systematically and most appropriate manner in the given part of the business as well. That is what basically is going to be a critical part in form of culture. Well, last but not the least is the most critical part, which is called as strategic change failures. Why they happen? Why strategic change failures happens? Why does the strategic failure takes place? Well, there are some interesting reasons. Sometimes it is logically believable. Okay, these are the basic reasons. But one interesting part is called as lack of urgency. One of the basic reason why strategic failure takes place is because it was not very important or urgent from the part of the person who was executing. For example, if you as a employee was not very pumped up to bring that particular thing is because the storytelling by the leader was very, very weak. That is why the employee never found that it has urgency in form of implementation. Like a while back, Anindya sir asked me, Sir, how do we implement this scenario in the company? And it was very well understood also by everyone that if we want to really wish to implement it, then for that reason, we will need to actually create understanding by resonating what the leader is feeling. And the reason why it fails is because the storytelling was weak. Number two is vision unclear, where poor communication is been visible, vision is unclear, so strategic failure is inevitable. Alignment failure, where what we were explaining, what we were offering, what we were giving, delivering, it was not properly aligned. That led to middle management resistance and a proper systematic downfall of the company. Also, there are times where poor pacing is visible. Poor pacing basically means that there was no proper roadmap which was visible that led to strategic challenge in form of leadership failure. Last but not the least, accountability gap. Since there was accountability gap, no ownership was visible. That led to not having proper development in form of creating an ecosystem which was interestingly devised and designed that ensured that things are not properly created and controlled in systematic manner as well. So that is where we have seen such kind of avenues that brought across the target in a logical format as well. Yes, Ayodhya all yours. Tell me your question.
Okay, I just want to quickly ask a question around the strategic change failure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My question is why do we most of the time have this middle management resistance whenever there is a need for strategic change in organizations?
Sorry, pardon, I couldn't understand your question. I couldn't hear it actually. Can you repeat the question,
Okay,
please?
okay. The question is why do we most often have this middle management resistance whenever there is a need for strategic change in organizations?
Why do we need it? The reason is because sometimes, Ayodhya ji, it is difficult for employees to directly connect with strategic leaders. Leaders are sitting in the top position. Like example, you as a person are a manager. You are in direct contact with your leader. That is the CEO. The employee and the executive working in your company called as Mr. John, who is a worker. Now, worker John is not connected with Mr. Jackson, who is the CEO of the company. So when CEO asks any change, strategic change, the worker is not able to relate because he's first of all not related to connect. And that is why culture becomes very, very unhealthy. But the same change, if it is done via you, which the worker is able to relate, for him, you are his godfather. That is where the shift will be very interestingly visible. Got it, sir?
I understand. So
That is
there's
where
there's a
culture change can only be done when you are able to relate with the identity whom you are able to connect. Remember this statement which I'm closing statement. Where there is logic, magic will happen. With logic, you will have magic. So employee, when he understands the logic, he will automatically do the magic. And his logic is connected to your importance because in his good or bad times, you always have been around him. Like in your good and bad times, your CEO was around you.
So,
That is where he is able to relate. Yes, Anindya sir.
so I think basically, so the mid management employee or the worker who is going to implement those strategies or who is working at the base level, so they need to be motivated in terms of
Correct.
in terms of everything. I mean, obviously, in terms of the motivation should come from the management and in terms of everything, their position, pay package, and everything, so that he can implement it correctly. So
Correct. So
that
it depends, Anindya sir, from company to company. It will all change
mm,
and depend on the given scenario as well. But overall, it is all going to be directly proportionate to which way the company is going to navigate and what is the leader's call in form of strategic change, which he wants to incorporate and implement in the best possible scenario for helping company to grow in systematic and appropriate manner as well. So this is all purely circumspect to how the industry and the company is navigating and growing in the growth story of the business as well.
so
Well, yes, yes,
so it's
Anindya sir,
like,
go
I
ahead.
mean, the CEO is very interested to change the strategy, and the senior level management, for example, the senior vice president, director, those people, they are highly motivated, but they are not able to communicate the same thing, or that they are not transferring that motivation from the senior. They're not working as an interface between the CEO and the mid-level management employees or the lower level employees. So they're not able to connect the bridge. They just want to get it implemented. That's all. So when the mid-level management employees or the workers who are actually working at the ground level, so they don't get motivated because they just see or they just hear that we want to get this implemented from the director or the vice president. But the kind of motivation the directors or the senior level people they get from the CEO, that motivation does not flow from the top level to the bottom level. So probably that may be the reason.
So correct, what you have mentioned is correct. It all is situational in nature, in form
Hmm.
of how we navigate the given scenario.
No,
Well,
right,
with
exactly.
this,
Yeah.
with this words of wisdom and understanding in the given scenario, we end up today's session. I am highly grateful to each one of you for sharing and what do you say, being part of today's session. It was really overwhelming to share 4 sessions throughout 1 year. I met you guys in 2025 and today I conclude the session in 2026. It was 1 year of long learning with everyone listening to me right now live. So I'm highly grateful to each one of you for being part of the session. Um, well, I hope the learnings we all had, we will carry it forward in our due course of journey, learning, implementing, and graduating in the formulation of growth and development in the given scenario. Well, thank you so much for making me part of a wonderful batch of yours. It was really great to be part of the batch. Once again, thank you, Owen, Ayodhya ji, Rajit sir, Anindya sir, Dinesh sir, Leena ma'am, Sapriya ji, Saputara sir, madam, whosoever he or she behind the screen is. Harriet, thank you so much for being part of the session, including Mohammed Umesh, Pawan sir, Sarika, Irwan, and Meghna as well.
Thank you,
So that is it
Professor.
from
Thank you,
my end.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Great to have you here.
Happy New Year. Thank you, sir.
Thank,
The
Happy
same
New Year,
thank you,
Happy New
sir.
Year,
sir.
Thank you,
Professor.
Happy
sir.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet, for being part of the batch.
Thank
Till
you.
I meet you next time, somewhere we cross the roads on this planet, somewhere in Germany or Hong Kong via Singapore or traveling through China, moving around somewhere in Nairobi or probably in Laos as well. Hope to see you all somewhere in Australia and Singapore, Hong Kong as well. So, keeping no jokes apart, it was
Yes,
really great
sir.
because we are all from different parts of the world. Yes, Ayodhya ji, tell me.
Sir,
Okay,
now
sir.
the world
Please,
is very small.
Pardon,
ask
Ayodhya
if
ji.
you could. I want to ask if you could share the presentation slide for the previous sessions. I'm only seeing section 4 here. I don't know if you could share the slides,
So,
the presentation slide, the past presentation slides, sir.
correct. Presentation and slides of earlier chapters I had shared in earlier classes. Any of your colleague like Anindya sir would have got, he will share it
Yes, yes,
later on.
I have it. I have it. I'll share it.
Anindya will share it on your WhatsApp group if you at all have a WhatsApp group.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayodhya ji. Thanks, Leena. You were saying something, Leena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leena.
Will you be sharing today's PPT?
It's
I have
already there
already
in
shared on
It's
the group
already
chat,
shared.
it's
Yeah,
in the
it's
chat.
already shared. It's
but
on the
Oh,
since
chat.
you
okay,
are
fine.
on
I
your
don't
mobile
see that
phone,
either.
on the chat, by the time it will reach you, it will be gone. For
Okay.
more details of the slides and PPTs, please connect with only one person on your batch called as Mr. Chakraborty Anindya sir. He is the master blaster of your team.
Yes, he is up to date with all the lectures and every
Correct.
this thing.
Oh, oh. Today I have been able to see Sir Pawan by Pawar sir as well. Great to see him
Yes, sir.
all the way from his private clinic. He is already a doctor. Thank you, Pawan sir, for being part of the batch.
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's
Thanks,
take a
sir.
Thank you,
Thank
small
sir.
you, sir.
picture here, image. I will surely post on my LinkedIn to just have good
Sure.
memories. I had absolutely fantastic time. Can I request Sapri Adi and Mohammed sir, probably Umesh sir and Sarika, to just switch on their cameras if it is possible.
Sir,
Meghna, if it
actually,
is
I have
possible.
the issue. Sir, actually, I have issue with the
No, no,
network.
I don't want any issue. I want just camera on. What will I do with your issue? What? Mohammed sir, Umesh sir, this is cheating. Last day also
No,
you had
no,
an issue here.
there's the issue with the thing, sir.
Array, it is
Network.
okay. We don't want issue. See, like how Meghna is traveling right now. She is in Singapore. In the car, she still has opened up her, switch on her
No,
camera.
no, no. I am in India, Mumbai.
Right, is okay, no problem. But switching on your camera is a, what do you say, important point.
Yes, yes,
Oh,
sure.
I am today been able to see Mohammed sir first time. Thank you, Mohammed sir. Sarika, finally I am able to see him. Sarika sir, it is always great to be part of the batch. I have been a silent
Back camera नाही होते सर
admirer
मेरा.
of yours.
कॅमेरा बॅक कॅमेरा नाही चालू होत आहे. हे बाय माझं दे ना.
So not an issue. Umesh sir, it's absolutely okay. But I'll take a small pick as well. Thank you so much, everyone. I have been able to capture good memories with you guys. Once
Thank
again,
you.
highly grateful to each one of you for sharing your what do you say memories and good session we had. Once again, thank you everyone for
Thank you.
being part of the batch as well. Till I meet you next time, all the very best. Take care. Have a
Thank you.
fantastic time ahead.
Thank
Sir,
Thank
you,
you so much,
sir.
sir,
everyone.
also request you post your LinkedIn URL, sir. We'll connect there.
Yeah, my LinkedIn ID is Rahul Shah PhD. That is my LinkedIn ID.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Pawan sir.
sir.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Thank
Neena.
you.
Thank you, Umesh.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sapriyadi.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Meghna.
much
Thank you,
for
Mohammed
this.
sir. Thank you, Sarika once again. And Dinesh sir, Anindya sir,
Thank you,
Irwan,
thank you.
Thank
Ayodhya
you,
ji. Thank
sir.
you so much, Rajit. Thank you,
Thank you,
Ayodhya
Thank
ji.
you,
sir.
sir.
Ayodhya ji, you are from which
Thank
part
you.
of the world?
I'm
Taiwan.
from Nigeria.
Oh,
I'm
Thank
from
you.
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Thank you.
I have
Yes.
worked in Nigeria, in Lagos. I was there for a while. I was
Oh,
working for a
interesting.
company called as Churchgate.
Okay, Churchgate. Yes, I know in Lagos.
Yeah, it was
That's
in
good.
Lagos. I was put up
Yeah.
over there somewhere in the year 2002, 2003. Those 2 years I was there over there.
Oh, interesting. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yes,
Good to
yes.
see you.
Now, Lagos has been now very, very different now, I believe. A lot of
Okay. Yeah.
development, infra development has been done.
A lot of developments. A lot of
Right.
developments.
Oh, I've got
Yeah.
Sapriyadi also for a change in form of camera being on. Thank you so much. I will capture one more time because to have Sapriyadi Sapudar all the way from Singapore is always a great part as well. Sapriyadi, you are from which part of the world? Okay. I believe I have not been able to hear audibly to the people as well. But well, that is it. Thank you so much once again, everyone, for being part of the batch.
Thank you, sir.
Every time,
Once I,
every time I have to be there in the camera, but today itself, when it was required, I'm not there in the camera.
no problem, Umesh sir. It was highly grateful. I realized that you have been traveling from Germany to Singapore. I will just remember that ways and
So,
believe that you are not available. Oh, finally, I've got Meghna as well with us. Wow. Finally, Meghna is there with us. Oh, wow. Good to see you, Meghna. Finally, I realized Meghna is nearby us only. She is in just 1 kilometer away from the campus. Chalo, good. Great once again to have everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. See you all in somewhere when we cross roads on this planet. Bye
Sure.
bye, guys.
thank
Thank you
you,
so
Bye.
much.
thank you,
Take
Thank
sir.
care.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye.
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.